Good morning, everyone, once again, and good afternoon as well. Thank you for joining us for the Equity Working Group meeting this month. Our agenda is pretty simple, meet and greet, some quick updates from my side. And if you also have some updates to share, please feel free to come forward. We have a spotlight presentation. Our presenter, Jordan Renken, has joined us, and he's going to share some of his work on affordable housing and heat pump water heaters. Post that, we'll have a Q&A session and some closing notes. A lot of updates here from my side. So I'll just go first. And if you have updates, you could just raise your hand and I can let you in one by one. We have a utility working group. We started in April of this year. We have had 3 meetings. We focus on residential and commercial programs. So if you're interested to know about different utilities and their midstream programs or different commercial heat pump water heater programs, what are the incentives, some of the challenges they are facing, how they have this approach towards consumers, you could check out these meeting presentations. We have had National Grid, uh, JEA from Jacksonville, and Vermont Gas Systems from Vermont present and talk about their programs. We also had some guest presenters. I'm not sure if you have heard about Energy Star Retail Portfolio Program, but that is something that is sort of like a motivation for distributors to stock up heat pump water heaters. It's a different program. And as of this year, they have included heat pump water heaters as well. Earlier, they did not have heat pump water heaters in their program list. So if you'd like to know more about it, do check out these meetings. I have added the links to the slide here. The next update is on Equity Toolkit. So when we started this year, we did have a discussion like as a group, how do we want to go forward? What are the things or resources that we would like to have as deliverables? And we had some ideas like a fact sheet or like a white paper or webinars, what should be from our group. So I had a chat with Midwest BDC, which is also a very leading organization that works in the space in the Midwest region. And we thought of putting together an educational equity toolkit, trying to define equity in 2025 or defining equity through a decarbonization lens. How can we not just talk or use the word equity, but how can we implement this in our projects? So this is something that we are like brainstorming right now on what could be in this toolkit. We plan to have it as a resource which is available online. People could use it for their own projects. That is something like still in the works. But if you have any feedback or thoughts or any suggestions that you think should be included in a toolkit, or what is something that you would actually want to have in a toolkit, you could let me know. That will be super helpful to have this put together. But once I have the framework ready, I'll definitely share it with the group, hoping that should be in the next meeting. So that's an equity toolkit. I'm trying to also put together inventory, sort of a resource. I'm trying to see and look for heat pump water heater advocacy heroes, in my opinion. So we have utilities, we have heat pump water heater programs some are midstream and downstream programs. But other than utilities, who are the other people as stakeholders in the supply chain who are also working towards pushing forward heat pump water heater transition? For example, manufacturers, they always come up with innovative products. They are upgrading their products. They're trying to address existing concerns and trying to make sure it is as sustainable and economical an option for people. Or say distributors who are trying to network with contractors and make sure that more people can be gathered in the space. Or local and state initiatives. For example, I had a conversation with City of Missoula. They have a heat pump water heater incentive, which could be financially braided to an existing utility incentive. Now that all works really well. Now, if you look at some of the utilities or some other programs, there are certain criteria for eligibility to have the incentive. It could be like a switch from electric to heat pump water heaters. But City of Missoula does not have that criteria. So, it could be from gas to heat pump water heaters or electric to heat pump water heaters. You will get that $1,400 incentive. That's the particular number. So that's sort of like any state or local initiative. So I'm trying to put together this resource to see what are the other people who are involved in this. Jordan also connected me with Denver Regional Government Council, and they also have this particular grant that they are putting towards decarbonization of their city. And they're trying to put together an incentive for heat pump water heaters. So these are local and state initiatives that could be financially braided to an existing utility program. So if you happen to know or have any suggestions that I should look into or connect with, you can let me know because I'm trying to put this resource. Hope this is useful to everyone, and you could know, like, what's happening in your community, in your region, in your state. What are the other things that you could actually take benefit of other than a utility incentive? Post that, we have our affordable housing tracker and webinar. We're also trying to put together a tracker for affordable housing. Like, what are the affordable housing in communities where there has been like a heat pump water heater energy efficiency upgrade project. How did this project go about? Because when you talk about affordable housing or any such big project of clean energy transition, there's a lot of funding involved. There are a lot of stakeholders involved, a design team, a plumbing contracting team who will install, a maintenance team, architectures who will figure out if it's a new construction. In case of retrofit, there's even more thinking, strategic planning that has to go into, like, what kind of system could replace a gas boiler and fit into this limited space. So there are a lot of things that are taken into consideration. So there are like best practices, lessons learned. What are the points that you would want to consider if you want to replicate this or if this could be scaled? So I'm trying to put together a tracker. I'm doing my own research, but if there is anything that you think I should look into, you should definitely let me know so that we can have this as one of our deliverable for this working group. Apart from that, we also have a webinar that is coming up on heat pump water heater day. I hope you all have received our toolkit. We have announced it on social media. Our heat pump water heater day is coming up in October 2025. The week of heat pump water heater day, we are going to start on an affordable housing webinar session. I plan to gather panelists for a roundtable discussion on like central heat pump water heater system implemented in their affordable housing community. What really went through this whole process of trying to design the system, if it is a new construction or if it was a retrofit, how did they really go about selecting the right size of equipment? What were the challenges with installation? What are the considerations for maintenance? How did they actually reduce energy burden on the residents? These are some of the discussions that we really want to have in this session. I'm doing my outreach, but if, again, you know of someone that I should reach out to, or you think that this is a project that definitely is worth discussing on this platform, definitely let us know. We would love to have them on the panel. This session is scheduled for 20th October. We do have time, but I would like to do my due diligence and have the panelists confirmed at least by the end of August. So that's my little update. And yes, we had a lot of webinars we did over the last couple of months. If you're interested to know about air-to-water heat pumps or how hydronic heating equipments work, you can definitely check out our webinar. We had one in June. We also had some decarbonization, commercial electric kitchens, and some solar energy in schools webinar as well. I've added the link of the webinar playlist here, so you can check them out in your free time. So that will be all from my side. Does anyone else have an update to share? You can please come forward. I will wait for a minute. Pepper, do you want to talk about the program that is coming up?
Which program?
The one that we were discussing yesterday, the clean tech training program. Like if you just want to give a overview.
Oh, the heat pump. Do you mean heat pump ready program?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Tech has kicked off reaching out to a number of schools across California, trade schools, colleges, union training centers, basically reaching out to anybody who's an instructor in California to offer up manufacturer training in collaboration with several manufacturers, and then offsetting costs for getting equipment into those schools so that students coming through the pipeline will be trained and ready to come into the market. I can drop a link in there. Sorry, Vidisha, I didn't have anything prepared just yet.
No, I just remembered it, so I thought,
yeah.
if you just want to give an overview, so totally fine. You can drop the link here in the chat.
Yeah, but so far, I mean, we've had really great responses. We've had to do it in a short time frame, so we're training over the summer, but So far, we've had a lot of people really interested. Historically, instructors will get equipment that is older or maybe not the most advanced technology. So pairing the equipment with training, we're really hoping to kind of set a new stage going forward. So people are coming in ready to go. And I'll drop a link in there. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to chat or at another time, maybe share a little bit more if I can get some things together.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Pepper. Anybody else? Any updates you would like to share with the group? You can, in case you don't want to come online, you can also drop it in the chat. Now, I shall move forward with our panelists today. I'd like to welcome Jordan Renken. He works with Energy Outreach Colorado. And today he would like to talk about some of the work that his organization has been doing in space for affordable housing and heat pump water heaters. Jordan, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Vidisha, and thank you for this opportunity. Good morning, everyone. I'm the Workforce Development Program Manager for Energy Outreach Colorado, and we'll be talking about how we serve Colorado families with energy efficiency, how we've worked with new energy efficient technologies like heat pumps and heat pump water heaters, and hopefully it'll be a good time for everyone. I'll take control here just so I can control the PowerPoint.
Sure.
Let's see. All right, so getting started here. So who we are. Energy Outreach Colorado is a leading nonprofit organization dedicated to providing energy assistance and resources to those in need across Colorado. We've been around since 1989. We were originally founded as part of a governor-appointed board of directors, and we were originally just kind of created to help supplement LEAP funding in Colorado. LEAP is the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program. In many of your states, it's probably known as LIHEAP. And that's really what our original mission was, just supplementing the LEAP funding so that it could go farther for Colorado families. Through the last 35 years, we have really expanded what we can do, because when you try to answer the question of how can you lift the energy burden off of families, as we all know, there's no easy answer. It takes a lot of different solutions. It takes a lot of different problem solving, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So with that, we attack the problem of energy burden through a suite of different programs, and they all kind of do similar but also different things. We do have some emergency relief programs, and I was actually interested to hear what Leanna was talking about with the emergency water heater repair, because that's similar to our crisis intervention program. This program is tied to LEAP funding, so families in Colorado that are on the low-income energy assistance program, if their heating system fails at any time of the year, we can get a contractor out there within 24 hours to repair it, replace it, or short of being able to do that, they will at least set them up with some kind of temporary heating until it can be repaired or replaced. So really, it's first responders for when heat goes out. Truly an amazing program, and one I always like to brag about. We also do a lot of energy efficiency upgrades in both residential and multifamily settings. We have a care program, which we'll talk about. This is a lot like weatherization assistance program, but funded by utilities. We are a weatherization assistance program subgrantee, so we do multifamily work there. We've got a utility-funded multifamily program. We've got a healthy homes electrification program. And then our last type of programs help with utility bill payments directly. We have a utility bill payment assistance program where if a family gets behind on payments and are at risk of having their heat turned off, we can get them back to zero and help them moving forward. And we also have a community solar garden program where we can subsidize the utility bill of a family. And I think one of the most amazing things about all these programs is any of these programs act as a on-ramp to all of our programs. In fact, it's very common for folks to get connected to us first by coming for us for the utility bill payment assistance help. That is our most popular program, and Just with that program, as with any program, if a person is applying to it, we are able to check their eligibility for all of our programs. So it's not uncommon for a family to get in touch with us just needing help with their utility bill payment and to end up getting a Solar Garden subscription and energy efficiency upgrades to their house as well. So our evolution through the years, as I mentioned, in 1989, Colorado leaders came together to found what was then known as the Colorado Energy Assistance Foundation. And through the years, we have evolved and expanded what we can offer. As I mentioned, the first iteration of us was simply to help supplement funding for LEAP. 5 years after our founding, we were able to utilize our relationships with the utilities in the state of Colorado to start providing assistance to people with their utility bills. So this was the advent of our bill payment assistance program. To this day, this remains our most popular program, and it's really like the starting point for how we were trying to lift that energy burden, doing whatever we can from Colorado families. In 2003, we rebranded from the Colorado Energy Assistance Foundation to Energy Outreach Colorado to reflect our broader energy cost lowering efforts. And then in 2008, this is the big inflection point for really all that we're able to offer. And it's really a pretty cool story. Our current CEO, Jennifer Grimmert, at that time, she was the development director for Energy Outreach Colorado. Fascinating thing about her is she's been with us almost since the inception of the organization. But at that time, as development director, she had very close relationships to many of our community-based nonprofit partners. And a lot of them were coming to her during that financial crisis in 2008, telling her that they were at risk of having to shutter their operations or draw down some of their services because the cost of powering their facilities was getting too high. So this was our first time really trying to get our feet wet in performing energy efficiency upgrades. We created our program called Nonprofit Energy Efficiency Program, or NEEP, and this program works specifically with community-based organizations that are offering support to low-income families to help them with energy efficiency. And to this day, it's still a very popular program where we're able to go into the facilities of other nonprofits and perform upgrades so that they can save money on their energy bill and spend that money more towards their mission. So that's 2008, and that's NEEP. And then shortly after that, we kind of went all in on energy efficiency and project management. In 2009, we became a Weatherization Assistance Program subgrantee for the Colorado Energy Office. Now, before I became a workforce development professional, I was in education, so I would be remiss if I didn't at least step back and give a little background information on the Weatherization Program for anyone who might not know. To know about the Weatherization Assistance Program, we'll go back to 1976. At that time, there was the oil embargo from the OPEC nations, and that was hitting Americans very hard because our entire infrastructure was powered on oil and gas. At that time, President Jimmy Carter and his Department of Energy were trying to problem solve how they can lift that energy burden for Americans, and one of their best ideas was the Weatherization Assistance Program, or as many people call it, WAP. The WAP program goes into low-income households and they perform energy efficiency upgrades, with the idea being if we can't directly affect the cost of energy, what if we made things more energy efficient so it used less of it? So WAP is an incredible program. We are one of the sub-grantees for the Colorado Energy Office in Colorado. We specifically do the commercial multifamily work. So think apartment complexes that are housing low-income folks. We work very closely with all the other sub-grantees that perform residential work as well. And I always have to talk up WAP because before I got into this work, I had no idea this program existed. I feel like this is one of America's best kept secrets, and I do not understand why. I feel like we should be shouting from the rooftops about WAP, spreading the word, and also just lifting up the people who work in this, because it takes an amazing type of person to be able to go into very difficult household settings, be empathetic and educational with a family, and help them through a desperate time. So 2009 was the advent of our multifamily WAP. And then in the 2010s, we just really kept adding on to our weatherization repertoire. So we were able to leverage our relationships with the Colorado utilities to expand our energy efficiency upgrade work. And that helped bring about the Colorado's Affordable Residential Energy, or CARE program. And the CARE program is easiest to think about as really it's residential weatherization. It's just like the residential WAP program, but instead of being funded by federal dollars in the Department of Energy, it is funded directly by the public utilities here in Colorado. And there's reasons for this. First of all, as we probably know, federal programs have pretty rigid guidelines for income qualifications that don't always work for different geographies. Here in the Denver metro area, there are plenty of people who are living in poverty that, according to federal guidelines, don't qualify for any help. So that's a problem because you're not able to help people who need it. And it's also a problem for utilities because ultimately at the end of the day, they need this work done as well. In Colorado, our utilities have demand side management plans, and the main calculus behind these is that it is cheaper for a utility to fund energy efficiency upgrades and decrease energy burden on the grid than it is for a utility to build out more infrastructure, build new substations, and deal with an increased load. So the dirty little secret behind weatherization is that at the end of the day, our public utilities, our energy providers, they need this work done. So our CARE program in Colorado is funded thanks to the utility programs, and it's more geography based, which allows us to get into those households in metro areas for struggling families that wouldn't qualify for the federal government WAP program, but they can qualify for this CARE program. In addition to the CARE program, we were able to launch in 2011 our crisis intervention program. I mentioned this previously. This is attached to the low income energy assistance program. Families who have a heating system fail, we can get someone out there to restore it within 24 hours. Truly is first responders for when the heat goes out, and I cannot say enough about the contractors and even our own staff who work on this program. To give a shout out to my own organization, they give us very nice holiday breaks around the Christmas time. We actually have 2 whole weeks where the office is closed, with the asterisk being that the people working on our crisis intervention program, they don't stop working because that's the coldest part of the year and you can't just let families lie in the lurch. So we've got staff who continue to work and help families during the holiday break, and our amazing contractors will continue to go out even on Christmas Day. We've had contractors, take time out from their own family celebrations to go and help a family in need. In fact, when I talk to all of our program managers, this is the one program that they repeatedly have to remind contractors to invoice us for their work, because it's not uncommon for them to get to a household and see, things in a state of disrepair, and just out of the goodness of their hearts, they're buying, additional upgrades or doing free work for them. So really cannot give enough kudos to our crisis intervention program team. It is an inspiration, and I hope it continues to be able to be funded and serving Coloradans in the future. Moving on, getting into the 2020s is when we start to incorporate electrification and decarbonization into our energy efficiency work. So in 2021, we began managing our first solar garden subscriptions, and this is a really cool program. I think we're up to a total of 54 community solar gardens that we are managing right now, and we're able to give subscriptions to Colorado families to subsidize their utility bills through this program. If you're not aware of community solar garden programs, they're a pretty cool thing, and it's able to leverage market forces to provide solar energy at a price point that actually makes sense. We've been talking about a lot of our projects doing residential work. When we are submitting energy efficiency upgrade items for a project, it ultimately has to be signed off by one of our funders who's, supporting the funding for that project. And we've never been able to do residential solar just because the cost of installing residential solar does not make sense for the energy efficiency it's going to be delivering for that family. And additionally, since we work with low income families, putting residential solar on their household also means that they now have to maintain that solar. And we really don't want to do anything that's going to increase the cost of trying to live for the families we're serving. So with community solar gardens, we're able to build out large solar arrays in ideal areas that's going to get nothing but sunlight. We can save on mass installing solar panels, and then it makes maintaining them that much easier. So truly an amazing program. And as we get to talking about electrification, it was almost a really happy accident that our solar gardens came online right as we started getting involved with electrification, because it is a key piece in squaring the circle for making it work for low-income families. So in 2022, this is when we really first start doing electrification upgrades in households. Through a grant with Denver's Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, or as we call it here in Denver, CASR, we launched our Healthy Homes program. And the interesting thing about this program is it wasn't created with the specific goal of electrification. It was actually created to improve the air quality and the physical health of people in a household through electrification. With the idea being that if you replace gas-powered appliances in a household, you'll be able to improve the air quality. We've been diligently collecting data, and we've found some pretty good data that correlates that air quality has improved for households, and some of the families that were suffering from respiratory symptoms have shown signs of improvement with this. So our Healthy Homes program was really the first time that we started dealing with heat pumps at all. And then right now in 2025, we are at the precipice of being able to expand our low-income electrification services. As Vidisha was mentioning, the Denver Regional Council of Governments, which is 60 different municipalities in the Denver Metro Front Range area, they came together and were awarded a $200 million EPA grant. And you might be wondering, with state of federal funding, this grant was awarded in the summer of 2024, and Dr. Cog, as we call them, they did receive the funding, so the money's in the bank. We don't have to worry about any of the tomfoolery going on at the top with that. But this is allowing us to expand the service of providing low-income electrification from just the city and county of Denver to now 60 municipalities in the surrounding area. So that's really the evolution of Energy Outreach Colorado through the years. And so here's a video of our work. I'll see if this video will work, and if not, we can just go to the next slide. Oh, good. Yeah, so that just kind of gave you an opportunity to see some of our other staff talk about our work. I really love that piece about the refrigerator and the family just being struck by it because that is such an easy win. It is not uncommon at all to go into low income housing and see that they're still using a coolerator from 19 you know, where replacing that one appliance will pay for itself in just a single year. And then just talking about that bill that's passed, I have to give a shout out to Colorado House Bill 21-1105 because that is the bill that ultimately provided funding that was allowed Energy Outreach Colorado to create my position. So I would not be here today if not for the dedication in just continuing to try to deliver better outcomes for Colorado families. And I dropped some of the links to the LinkedIn profiles of our staff here in the chat if you're interested in connecting with any of them. So moving on here, let's talk about heat pump water heaters because that's largely why we're all here today, right? So our work with heat pump water heaters. Heat pump technology is still relatively new in Colorado. We are a dry, arid climate, and heat pumps, they have always worked very well in humid climates. I hail from the state of Florida, Tallahassee, Florida State, go Seminoles. We had heat pumps everywhere. Moving out to Colorado, this is really a technology that's still breaking through. And so it's only just now being supported by our legislations and by our utilities and being adopted in households. So our experience is limited, but I did talk with our staff with our multifamily programs, and they were able to tell me that they have installed heat pump water heaters in 2 different projects that they've worked on. The first project was with the Denver Housing Authority at the West 28th Townhomes. There were 17 total units. We were able to, halfway through the install, I was told that we upsized the units from 50 gallon to 80 gallon based on feedback from tenants that the smaller units were not keeping up with demand. And these units are located in the basements, and we found that the filters are getting dirty at a very alarming rate, leading to some maintenance concerns. So that's the main bits of insight and information I was able to glean from that project. And then the other project was with the Boulder County Housing Authority at their Beaver Creek area. We were able to put in heat pump water heaters for 12 units, but we do not have any additional feedback to offer from that project at this time. I was told that we do not yet have 12 months of post-install analysis complete for either of these jobs, and ultimately it may be challenging to truly isolate the heat pump water heater savings because we have also installed air source heat pumps at the same time. It is harder for us to seasonally isolate for domestic water usage when systems now have both heating and cooling as well. So that was the feedback I was able to get from our much more well in the know project staff. As far as challenges with heat pump water heaters, I was also told that the primary hurdles faced on the multifamily side include space availability. Many of the units that we work with are studio or one-bed apartments and don't have enough adjacent square footage to meet manufacturer's requirements. You can potentially duct the intake if there is an adjacent conditioned space like a crawl space, but that's challenging and does add complication to the projects. Ducting the intake to the exterior is not recommended for our climate zones either. And also related to space, we've run into configurations where heat pump water heaters are taller than their equivalent electric resistance water heater, and the combustion closets don't have the physical space to accommodate a taller unit. Noise has also been a challenge. The water heater closets in multifamily buildings are often located inside of the unit itself. And additional noise is an ongoing complaint we've heard from other multifamily properties that have heat pump water heaters, of which we weren't involved with installing. And then finally, comfort. As noted, the water heater closets for multifamily buildings are often inside the unit and adjacent to living space. The exhaust discharges cold air, creating comfort issues during the heating seasons. And you can consider ducting the exhaust to the exterior, but this is not recommended, again, for our climate zone due to depressurization within the unit and leading to additional air filtration. I wish I could give you more information on all that, but I am workforce development. I'm involved with other aspects. Maybe one day I'll be able to get one of our project managers to join you all and really nerd out and talk about some of these challenges. Right now, our multifamily program does not frequently recommend heat pump water heaters, but there are a couple of exceptions. The first is when we have units with adjacent basements, of which the majority of our building stock is slab on grade or high rise. And this was the case for that first project we talked about with the Denver Housing Authority. And the second point is when the existing water heater is electric resistance. This often means we have electrical capacity already, and the risk of increased utility bills is very low. And this was the case for the Boulder County Housing Authority project that we did with Beaver Creek. We do have some potential projects in the works where we are pursuing central heat pump water heating or air to water heat pumps, but we're still a ways from completing our first central system install. Now that I've been connected with HPWH and the Advanced Water Heating Initiative, I will be, following up as we get more data and as we do complete these projects, because I'm sure you all would be interested in learning the outcomes of that work. So how do we accomplish our work? The work performing energy efficiency upgrades through our various programs is accomplished by utilizing Colorado contractors. The only labor we have in-house that is really involved with the energy efficiency is we have a couple of energy auditors. Otherwise, we have project implementation teams who kind of act as general contractors, and then we work with our network of contractors to actually do the labor and installs. We do prioritize working with smaller shop contractors and businesses designated as minority or women-owned businesses. And there's a few reasons for this. First of all, working with low-income housing, just point blank, is difficult. A lot of contractors don't want to deal with it. If we call up the big market cap contractors, they don't care to do this work. They already have 3 months of jobs on the back burner. They do not need any additional work, especially going into low-income housing. Other contractors just have reservations with working with low-income housing because of stigmas and other challenges. Please do not take this as being me saying that all low-income housing have these challenges, but it is more common working in low-income environments to encounter signs of drug use or extremely excessive clutter, or even things like bed bugs. These are considerations that turn off a lot of contractors from wanting to be able to engage with this work. So when we do find contractors that want to work with us, we really do try to support them and keep them in our network. Because of the very public-facing nature of our work, our contractors must be able to deliver quality installation and repairs, first of all. We can't be having contractors having to go back and fix something 2-3 times. It has to be done right the first time. And the second point is exceptional customer service. And this is really so important with working with the families that we work with. Almost everyone who gets connected to Energy Outreach Colorado has gotten connected to us out of a sense of desperation. They're just trying to provide for their families, and things have gotten tight. They can't afford their utility bills. They're wondering how they're going to keep their heat on, some kind of other problem. So a lot of people are coming to us already stressed out to the max and just very desperate. And then a lot of these families too hail from minority backgrounds, or they might be refugee status, something like that. Being able to get them to trust us is sometimes a challenge as well. This is why we do try to prioritize with contractors that are designated as minority or women-owned businesses, because there is a lot of power in having someone come into your household who looks like you. It puts the family at ease. It helps them understand that these people are here to help, and really it just kind of smooths over that whole some of the communication barriers that we see. So continuing to talk about contractors, my role as workforce development program manager is primarily to make sure that we have a network of contractors who are ready to work with our programs. So first and foremost, I'm recruiting new contractors. I'm advocating on behalf of our existing contractors, trying to keep them in business as much as we can. When I was first hired to come and found our workforce development program, I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out our different programs, because as I talked about, we kept evolving to try to attack the energy burden families face in different ways. And all of our programs kind of evolved in silos independent of each other. So they've all kind of evolved their different ways of recruiting contractors before we had a central plan. I try to really connect with all of our different programs to figure out what is it that makes an ideal contractor to work on our programs. And the biggest thing it boils down to are those soft and durable communication skills. And I have them here on this slide. These are the biggest points our programs are able to provide on if a contractor exhibits these qualities, this is someone we want to work with. Someone who's respectful, personable, patient. Empathy is such a huge one. Someone who's responsible, people who are open to feedback, people who are organized, who can handle the relationship management aspects, are good with conflict resolution, are able to be adaptable, and are reliable and also good communicators. In addition to these soft and durable skills, we have also identified the value of having those contractors from diverse backgrounds. As I was just saying, it really just helps put the family at ease. Instead of having a bunch of middle-aged white men coming into your household, which can be very, stressful, especially for some of the families where it might just be the matriarch of the family at home during the day. If it's a woman coming in or it's someone from their same diversity or background coming in, it just helps put them at ease and lets them accept the work a little bit better. So our workforce development program, with a total of 7 programs, 5 of which partner directly with contractors to perform these upgrades, we needed to start becoming much more intentional with our involvement with the workforce. So in January of last year, we founded our program. I was hired to come and start all this work. And as I said, my main points are to ensure a consistent network of quality contractors. I advocate on behalf of our network of contractors. I see myself as like a tiny little trade association trying to learn what their challenges they're facing and how we can problem solve on behalf of them. And then finally, to provide education and outreach around careers in energy efficiency. The harsh truth is there's just not enough labor in Colorado to do a lot of this energy efficiency work. Specifically, there's not a lot of contractors who have a lot of experience working with new technologies like heat pumps either. So let's talk about why there's not a lot of contractors working with this, because it really comes down to how we've been pushing the adoption of heat pumps in Colorado. And this might actually be similar for many of your states as well. So in Colorado, we have been using incentive rebate systems to try to get people to adopt energy efficiency technologies. From my discussions with Colorado contractors, the currently implemented downstream rebates for air source heat pump systems are serving as a disincentive for small businesses to want to learn how to perform this work. So with a downstream system, this is where the rebate application is ostensibly supposed to fall on the homeowner themselves, but as we all know in practice, that responsibility ultimately falls on the contractor to handle the administrative burden, which adds additional workload to already when they're stretched thin. But the biggest thing preventing small shop contractors from wanting to bother to learn with heat pumps is that right now in Colorado, rebate remittance can be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. The cost of a heat pump system is not exactly cheap, folks. If you're asking a small shop contractor to float the cost of an $8,000, $10,000 system on their books for 4 to 8 weeks, they're going to tell you you're crazy. I can't do that. That's maybe just one job. If you're asking them to do that for multiple jobs, how are they supposed to do that? There are bridge loan programs out there, but that's just adding additional work. That's adding a middleman who's getting, a piece of the pie now. There's not a lot of incentive there. And one of the biggest things we've seen too is that rebates can be paused or canceled without advance notice. Last September in Colorado, there were energy efficiency rebates for agricultural grow lights. And there are a lot of contractors that, fall into these niches where they do specifically this type of work. These rebates were paused because entire industries were flooding the utilities, applying for these rebates to the point where the utilities could not keep up with, signing off of them rebate remittance. So for over 3 months, rebates were just straight up paused, which dried up market rate work for a lot of contractors. We saw contractors who had to furlough staff or straight up lay off staff. If you're a small shop contractor, that is a nightmare scenario. That is something that is going to traumatize you and really disincentivize you from wanting to come back to work with this type of technology. So the results of all these challenges are that many Colorado contractors don't see upside in dedicating resources to learning how to work with these technologies at the moment. So this is leading to a severe lack of qualified contractors who are able to perform this type of energy efficiency work. And I think one of the most frightening things for me is that it's leading to a lot of out-of-state contractors coming in from places like Massachusetts, where they have a state that has figured this system out well, and they're able to grow and learn this, but they're coming in here from out of state, backed by venture capital, and they're eating up all of the market rate work, and it's going to leave our homegrown talent in the dust. That's not going to be good for Colorado. That's not going to be good for energy efficiency in Colorado. And it's not going to be good for the consumers in Colorado either. So how can we help support contractors? I do want to be very clear with this first point. Energy Outreach Colorado does not actively advocate for or against any specific rebate system. Our mission is delivering energy relief to Colorado families, and our advocacy is focused on improving energy outcomes to Coloradans. That said, we are trying to work with contractors who can do this, and if we were able to free up the market rate work to make it more welcoming to Colorado contractors to want to work with this, that would help us be able to complete our work. So thanks to our proximity to energy efficiency technologies and close working relationships with small shop contractors, we've been able to observe these adverse effects that the current rebate models are having for the Colorado rebates. So the type of changes to the existing rebate systems which could help Colorado contractors would be changes that would eliminate or severely cut down on rebate remittance time. This is the biggest thing. 4 to 8 weeks is a complete non-starter for small shop contractors to want to learn this technology. Rebate systems like midstream models, where it is the distributor of these systems themselves doing their rebates, would help remove that remittance time, and contractors could see that rebate savings at the point of sale. So there are some existing strategies that could fix with that, but we have to eliminate the time to pay contractors because a lot of these guys are living paycheck to paycheck. They need help. We need to streamline the rebate application process. There's been a lot of work going into this. It's helping remove some of that additional administrative work off of the plate of contractors. And finally, and this is a piece I don't hear talked about as often, but we need to make sure that we are providing additional rebates to cover other necessary precursor work, such as electric paneling upgrades or insulation. This is such a big gap that I don't think gets talked about enough, but it is another huge reason why contractors don't like to work with the current rebate system. We're trying to sell homeowners on adopting these energy efficiency technologies by telling them that they can get a new energy efficient heat pump system, and these rebates will cover 85% or so of the cost of install. But when they get to the point of actually trying to do this work, quite often they have to upgrade their electric paneling first. We do not currently have rebates that are helping cover the cost of electric paneling. So now you've got a customer who thought that they were going to spend maybe $1,500, $2,000 to upgrade their system, and now they're being told they need to spend another $4,000 to $6,000 to upgrade their electric paneling, of which there is no help for. They feel like they've been bait and switched. They take it out on contractors. Contractors don't like having to break this news to customers because, again, it feels kind of scammy. So that is another point I just really wanted to highlight with the current rebate system. So that is the end of my presentation there. At this point, I can take some questions if we have time. Otherwise, yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Yes, we are almost on time, but we can definitely take up two questions, which I can see in the chat. Benny, do you want to come forward and clarify your questions?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Jordan. Thanks for your presentation and your time. Benny Zank with City of San Francisco. I'm wondering for these projects, whether, especially in the multifamily space, you're requiring prevailing wage and kind of certified payroll. And then I was curious, you mentioned Massachusetts kind of has figured things out a bit more. If there are particular things in Massachusetts that you think other states should look to.
Yes, so prevailing wage is required on some of our programs. It ultimately depends how that program's funded. If it's federal funding, then yes, there's going to be prevailing wages. And even some of our non-federally funded programs, like our Healthy Homes program from the City and County of Denver, has prevailing wage requirements as well. So we have worked with that. And with Massachusetts,
are you working with small local contractors to get them able to do the prevailing wage reporting?
Yes,
we're
so
looking at that on our side.
we do assist them with that. We have been using a software platform called LCP Tracker, and that has brought its own challenges at times because it is HR software, which if you are an HR professional, no problem to use. But we're working with small shop contractors where the electrician or the plumber is also the HR and the accountant and everything else, and it's not as easy for them. So it's taken a lot of work, but our best workaround is that one of our staff members has been able to almost dedicate a lot of their time to just helping work with our contractors and learning to use that technology. And as for Massachusetts, the main thing I've heard that makes them so effective is they have a specific central authority that's handling all rebates, and that is their main focus, which allows them to cut down on the rebate remittance time. So instead of it being the utilities or the municipal governments that are trying to determine rebate eligibility and all that stuff, it is an actual centralized organization whose whole mission is just taking those rebates in and getting those payments out as fast as possible.
Thanks, Jordan. I think
Thank you.
with the rebates and incentives, there are like at the distributor side, if it's midstream, there are some instant rebates and then there are mail-in rebates. I think the most beneficial are the instant rebates so that they can like quickly get it done. Mail-in rebates again can take like 2 to 4 weeks. It really depends. So yes, definitely one of those things to look into. But anybody else, do you have any other questions? We are almost on time. Beth has also mentioned that there is a new GE heat pump water heater that has gotten over a lot of hurdles that you mentioned regarding heat pump water heaters. Beth, I suppose you're talking about the size and installation.
Yeah, it has a 120 volt and a 240 volt within it. So you would be able to bypass those issues with having to upgrade your panel. And also they've really reduced the noise.
Right. Now, I think noise, I've also had this conversation earlier that even with exterior closets, sometimes they do get a bit of vibration that happens. But I also like to highlight this point that housing structure also plays a very important role in choosing the kind of heat pump water heaters, like when you have in-unit and like an external closet. So that makes a difference. In case there are such states that do have basements and garages, it really works well for them to like have a heat pump water heater, but when you do not have these spaces, a lot of strategic thinking goes into finding the right size and equipment. So yes, definitely that point to consider. Benny also has other questions for you in the chat, Jordan, if you'd like to have a look. But since we're almost on time, I'll just wrap this up quickly. So yes, we are going to have our next meeting on 27th August. It's going to be a power check-in meeting, but in case any one of you is interested, or if you know someone who would be a very perfect person to present and align with our mission, you can definitely let me know so we can extend this to a full 1 hour spotlight presentation meeting. And as I mentioned, I am looking for panelists for affordable housing webinars. So your feedback, suggestions are totally welcome. If you'd like to share the equity working group with your colleagues or anyone in your circle, the link is here on the slide. That will be all from my side. Thank you, Jordan, for joining us and giving this really detailed, insightful presentation. We appreciate your time. And thank you, everyone else, for staying with us till the last. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you.